Hello everyone, we are back at it again. Today we'll be doing May-June 2021, set 22. So according to some of my students, they mentioned that this specific paper is kind of weird as compared to the previous term. So without further ado, let's get started. So in the first question, they mentioned that the probability that Jane wins a game is 7/10. Find the probability that Jane does not win the game. So 1 will be the total probability. So 1 minus 7/10. Then you should get your answers here, which is 3/10. If she plays 50 times, how many times she is expected to win? So every 10 times, she will win 7. Okay, so just multiply it up. Should be somewhere around 35 times then for the final answer here. For the next question that we have here is question 2, root to the power of 4, and then inside of it will be 0.0256. So when you submit it accordingly, you should get your final answers as 0.4. So far we have 2 questions into it and it seems quite easy. The next one, they were asking Emma has 15 mathematics questions to complete. Attached below is a stem and leaf diagram. How much time she needs to complete each question. So the mode is the time that appeared the most. So over here, the question that they need that appeared the most will be 16. So how do I identify it? It's because it appeared 3 times over here and the front numbers of it will be 1. So the answer of this will be 16. So for the next question, they were asking for median. So cut one large number, one small one. Repeat until you reach the center of it. So as we proceed, you need to be careful of your calculation here. So the final answer should be 11. As for next one, regarding the range, you need to take the biggest numbers minus the smallest one. So the biggest is actually 20 minutes. The smallest time required will be 3 only. So the difference here will result in 17 minutes. So for question 4 here, they say write down an expression of a range of k consecutive integers. So the keyword here is consecutive. So for example, if it's regarding a numbers of 5, so the next numbers will automatically be 6 because it is consecutive. So if let's say our range of k, let's say 6 is our k, and then the previous numbers would actually be k minus 1. So the range of this will automatically be the largest one minus the smallest one, which is k minus 1. Okay. So for the next one, it is regarding a scattered diagram. Henrik, draw a scattered diagram. Put a ring on one statement about this scattered diagram here. So this is actually a trap question, although based on the points that were given, you know that it is a downward sloping trend. However, the amount of points here is not sufficient for us to judge the relationship just yet. So the correct answer for this should be it is not possible to tell if there is correlation as there are not enough points. So this will be our answers here for 5A. Moving on to 5B, the correct or the most appropriate line of best fit will actually be C, because you can see that it touches or very close to these 2 points here. Okay, and then landed on top of one of them, and the rest of the points is actually right next to the line. So this is the key indicators to show that whether it qualifies as a line of best fit or not. So the answers that we'll put in for this will be diagram C. Moving on, a rhombus has a side length of 5 centimeters. A rhombus can be constructed by drawing 2 triangles. Using a rulers and compass, you will construct the rhombus here. So they mentioned the side length was 6.5. First of all, you need to know the characteristic of a rhombus. So based on this thing here, we must know that this distance here must be 6.5. Same goes to this. Then repeat the same on the other end. 6.5 again. And the one last but not least is another 6.5 here. So if you were to draw it out, you have your compass here. Hold on. Make sure you adjust the distance of this to 6.5 centimeters. Okay. Then only you draw it on the graph paper here. I couldn't draw it for you because I'm using a digital tablet. So roughly the answers that they expect you to write down will have 2 arcs here. Okay. One of them over here. And the other one should be somewhere around here. Same thing, repeat the same size, 6.5 cm and another 6.5 cm. So the intersection point will be where the rhombus located at. So this is the roughly how the shape looks like. But you must make sure that it is 6.5 on all sides here. So this is how you secure the marks in question 6 here. So complete the statement. A reciprocal of 0.2 is, so for this type of question, when you key into a calculator, 0.2 is actually somewhere around 1/5. So the reciprocal of it will actually be 5478. Moving on, we have our next question here, which is prime numbers between 90 to 100. So the results of this would actually be 97 if not mistaken. So let me double check. Okay. Yes. So 91 is a trap question here because 91 can actually be divided by 7. So in total, the factor of it will include 1, 9, 7 and 13. You are able to divide the numbers with more than 2 results itself and 1. It will not qualify as a prime numbers anymore. Moving on to part B here, they are looking for irrational numbers. So clearly the result of this will be square root 7. Okay, reason being is that square root 7 is the only one that cannot be written as whole numbers or fraction here. Okay, so that's how you identify whether it is irrational numbers or not. Moving on, we have question 8 here. When find B when A equals to 5.625 and C equals to 2. So quite straightforward. Just key in your results accordingly. Okay, A would actually multiply with BC equals to B squared. B is actually square root of A times 5C. So to get to your answers, key in this into your calculator. Then you should be able to get your results as 7.5. Moving on to question 9. Without using a calculator, they ask you to solve this out. Okay, first thing, you change it into mixed number first. Rearrange it into multiplication. Since 2 and 10 can be further simplified, you have a balance of 5 over here. So ultimately 7 over 15 will be your final answer. and that's how you secure the 3 marks here. Rewrite 0.00654 into a standard form. Okay, try to readjust the dots here, 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. So the final answer of this will be 6.54 times 10 to the power of -3. Okay, because you shifted it backwards by 3 times. The numbers 1.467 times 10 to the power of 102 is written as ordinary numbers. Write down numbers of zeros that follows the digits 7. So how do you trace it? It's actually by imagining this 467 times 102. So the amount of zero that we can shift until 7 is 3. Hence, from the results here, 102 you minus by 3, you will get 99 as the final answers or amount of zero at the back. Question 11, okay, recurring decimals. This question hasn't appeared for quite a while already. So attach it a step. You should write 0.0404 down first, so that you know this is the one that is repeating. And because there's 2 dots on top of the repeating figures, so we're setting 100x for it. So when you multiply this with 100x, which means you shift it by 2 steps, you will get 4.0404 and repeating. So when you take the difference here, which is 100x minus x, you have a balance of 4, because the recurring part will be cancelled entirely. So from this, you have 99x equals to 4, and to find your x in fraction form, it will be 4 over 99. So you can always key into the calculator to double check and see whether it is valid or not, or can be further simplified or not. So for this, the answer will be 4 over 99. Moving on, question 12 here. Okay, we have a sets question. So by looking at it, this is somewhere around AdMaths level question, because sets has been removed completely from AdMaths. So they transferred the question here. So integers that's greater than 2, okay, we'll have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, the reason why I didn't include 2 itself is because they didn't mention greater and equals to 2. So A is a prime number, B is an odd number, and C is a squared numbers. Describe the type of numbers in the sets of everything other than B intersected with C. So everything other than B will be even numbers. Okay, for this. And intersected with C will be even numbers that is also squared numbers. So some sample of it will be 4, what else? 16, what can I do? 144, all these are the even numbers, and they also qualify as a squared numbers. So when I write down the details, it will be even squared numbers for this. So 1 marks for us. So for part 2 here, okay, I will fill up the graph first before I explain it to you. This one will be B, C, and A right over here. So if let's say I key in 1 to 10, okay, then you can notice why do I arrange it this way. So it qualifies as odd numbers as well as squared numbers. That will be our 9 here. Okay, and then for 4, it will be right over here. And then for the rest of the numbers, okay, 1 will be over here, as 1 doesn't qualify as a prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, then we have 6, 7, 8, and also our 10 here. So personally, I would argue that the A part that they gave us is actually wrong. But if you look closely to the first statement by the question, they specifically mentioned that integers that is greater than 2. So it surprisingly avoided these two conflict zone numbers. So without this 1 and 2 here, okay, then everything will be valid and solvable. So this is how you fill up the graph if you were to set up some examples for yourself to identify who is A, who is B, and who is C. Okay, so I will just leave it here. In exam, you don't have to write it down. Just fill up the B, A, and C will do. Moving on to part B here, they were asking for this first. This is what I would do. E intersect with F and everything other than it. So it's actually regarding this part here. And then they were saying they wanted it to union with everything other than D. So everything other than D is actually this. So because they uses union here, hence my final results would actually be this. So I basically shade all the part except the center there, because those are the ones that is not shaded at all. The rest, once it was shaded, then it will qualify as the answers. So this is what I would submit as the final results. Moving on, we have our next question, question 13 here. They're looking for X value. Okay, so because they mentioned this is a tangent, I know that this is 90 degrees on both sides. So in total, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 corner shapes will be 360. 360 minus 90 minus 90 minus 44. You will get your answers here as 136. So you may take these results. Okay, 136 divided by 2, you will get your X results as 68. So the reason behind of it will be angle AOC. Okay, the major, this is the considered as a minor. Minor angle AOC is actually 136. Angle ABC is actually half of angle AOC. Just half of 136, you will get 68 as your final answer here. Moving on, we have question 14, work out the area of the trapezium. So to get to your answer, okay, area of this shape here. The keyword here is one line of symmetry. Okay, so you know that this particular part, okay, and when you draw down another one over here, they're actually the same size. Okay, so based on this, you will get this as 15.4 at the center, and then if you look for this part, they will be the same. So to work out the area of the trapezium, I will identify this specific part first. Okay, over here, this is our adjacent, this is our opposite. So tangent 62 equals to 18.2 divided with our unknown here. Make sure you make your calculator mode into degree before proceeding with your calculation. You will get your answers as 9.68. So to obtain your final answer, the area of this trapezium here, I will redraw the shapes right over here. This will be 15.4, while the bottom of it will be 15.4 plus 2, 9.68. The height of this would actually be 18.2. So let's work out the final answer here. 15.4 plus, we have this divided by 2 and multiplied with the height. So this answer plus 15.4 divided with 2 times 18.2. So you will get your final answers as 456.456, which is approximately 456 if you round it to 3 significant figures. Moving on to question 15. So they gave you some sample here. So they gave you the side angle, side angle, side. So this one will qualify as a congruent with SAS, side angle sides. While the other one is 4.5, 4.5, 4 and 5. So this will be congruent as well with side supporting calculation. The last one here, although the shape is correct, but they gave you angles, side, angles and sides correct, but this is different. So this is not considered as congruent. Okay, and they gave you none here. So that's how you solve this 3 question. Moving on, we are at question 16 already. Find the length of AB. You will be using the formulas here. So you have 5 minus 9 squared plus 7 minus negative 1 squared. So let's work out the results here. So minus become plus. That's why I wrote 8 here. And you get your final answers as 8.94. After correcting it to 3 significant figures. To calculate the equation of the line AB, you will need the gradient first. So you have your final answer as -2 over here. When you sub in the points and run the calculation accordingly, you will have this. So you will get -2x plus 17 as your final answer. Question 17, the keyword here is perpendicular. So before I proceed with my calculation, there's one thing that I will do to this equation here, which is get rid of the 3 first. So everything on the other end will be divided by 3. And take this gradient here that they showed us. So remember the formula m1 times m2. I call it m original times m new equals to -1. So looking for the perpendicular, divide it with 4 over 3. You will get your answers as 3 over 4. So that's how it looks like here. And remember, don't miss out on the negative. So final answer, -3 over 4. Question 18, function question. So we do this at the side first for our gx plus 1. So replace the x plus 1 into the x position. You will have an x plus 5 at the end. So your f bracket x plus 5, it will be resulting in x plus 5 to the power of 2 minus 25. So when you expand it out, this is what you should be getting. So you have x squared plus 10x at the end. On the other side, you will have this g, replace the fx with what you have there. And then when you sub in this and replace the x accordingly, this will be your final answer. Okay, set up these two together. So your final answer of your x will be negative 2.1. Moving on to question 19. So for question 19a here, first thing to take note is that for equilateral triangle, each sides of it will actually be 60 degrees. This is fixed. Okay, so there's two parts for us to calculate. The first one will be the major arc here, and then there's a straight line over here. So the BC part, you actually don't have to calculate because they already gave us the results. They mentioned that this thing here will be 12.4. We will have to do this thing over here. The major sector is actually 300 degrees. So let's work out the solution here. 300 over 360 times 2 times pi times 12.4. This will get us the arc length, and then add it with 12.4. You will get to your final answer. So your final answer of this will actually be 77.3. Moving on to part B, they asked us for the area of the major sector. Okay, so for this, let's repeat the same thing. 360 minus 41. You will get your answer 319. Okay, divided with 360 times pi times r squared equals to 74.5. So to get to the answer, 74.5 divided with 319 over 360 divided with pi again. Okay, square root these answers. You will get your radius as 5.17 after correcting it to 3 significant figures. Moving on to question 20, expand and simplify this. So you multiply it accordingly, you should get your results as this first. Further rearrange it, then multiply it with x plus 3 again. Then rearrange them up, you will get to your final answer here. So this is how you secure the 3 marks over here for question 20. Moving on to question 21. Okay, so they mentioned that it was inversely proportional to the square of d. So f equals to k d squared. So you first have to identify the k here, which is our scale factor, by substituting the 48 and the 1.5 that was given to us. So calculate this out. You will get your answers of 108. So the expression of it will be 108 over d squared. When the distance between two magnets is double, the new force is n times the original force. We double that, it will be 3, and then it will square 108 equals to 48n. So n would actually be 108 over 9 divided with 48. You will get your answers as 0.25. So this is how you secure the results. They actually wanted us to utilize the 1.5 from the front, and this will be 48n. Okay. Moving on to question 22, simplify this, quite straightforward. I will first adjust the denominator here. You will get it as this. While for the numerator part, okay, when you adjust it accordingly, okay, you will get your answers as 2x plus 3 as well as x minus 4. So these two can be cancelled. And your final answer will be 2x plus 3 over 3x. Question 23 here, identifying all the solution of this. You have sine x equals to 3 over 4. Okay, this is actually a quadrant question. 3 over 4 is actually positive. So for sine to be positive, your answers will be appearing at the first and the second quadrant here. So let's key in this accordingly. Sine inverse 3 over 4. You will get your answers as 48.6. That's your first answer here. And move on to the next one. You will have 180 minus 48.6. So that will be 131.4. So this is how you secure the two results here. Lastly, our last question here. The first thing that they wanted you to do is to make the denominator the same. You actually have x plus 1 together with x plus 9. Okay, while the 1 here will be multiplied with x plus 9, the 9 at the back will be multiplied with x plus 1. Okay, and set it equals to 1. So x plus 9 plus 9x plus 9 equals to this. Okay, because I transfer it to here, this entire thing. So when you further your calculation, you will get your results as 10x plus 18 equals to x squared plus 9x plus x plus 9. We adjust this, okay, transfer everything to one side. You actually have x squared only and a minus 9 here. So I thought that it was a quadratic, but apparently there's no x there. So just put it accordingly like this, and your x results would actually be square root 9. So remember, when there's a square root, it will be plus minus the results. So that's why the last answers here will be 3 and negative 3 respectively. So this is how you secure your 5 marks here. Okay, so overall this question paper here is quite straightforward. Personally, I find this question quite tricky for the area of the trapezium. Other than this, sets 1 is also quite challenging, and the rest should be more or less similar to your previous paper. Okay, don't fall for this kind of trick question here. So far this is the first time they assess this in-depth on scattered diagram, but the marks allocation wasn't too much. So even if you mess this up, it won't really affect your final score. I hope you find this video helpful, and I wish you all the best in your upcoming exam. If you have friends struggling, feel free to share this to them. Thank you. Bye bye.